Good morning. Let me have a review on DPSP in a detailed manner. We have discussed so many points in the previous class. Let me try to touch each and every article now, and I will have a discussion on that one. Kindly remember, these are mentioned under Part 4 of the Indian Constitution, and articles are from 36 to 51. So many points we have seen. So I would like to show you some more points. But rather in this class, you better listen rather instead of looking at the points. Now look at this. So in part 4 of the Indian Constitution, Article 36, under Directive Principles of State Policy, Article 36 provided definition for the word state. What is the meaning of the state? We have already understood in the previous class when we are talking about the fundamental rights. Even at the time of talking about the sources of Indian Constitution, we have understood in a detailed manner. And the same meaning of that word state has been again given in article number 36. Article number 12, which is a part of the fundamental rights, it explained the word state. It has defined the word state. And the same definition has been repeated even in article number 36. That's the reason if you look at article 36 in this part, it says that in this part, meaning in part 4, unless the context otherwise requires, the state has the same meaning as in part 3. Hope you are getting this. Whatever the definition that was given in part 3 under article number 12 of Indian Constitution, same definition is also coming here. This is what is given here. Next, I am talking to you about article number 37. Article 37 says that the provisions contained in this part shall not be enforceable by any court. I was telling you, DPSP are non-justiciable. They are non-enforceable. I explained you the meaning. And the same meaning is given in article number 37 of the Indian Constitution. That is the reason any provision that is contained in this part shall not be enforceable by any court. Meaning, simple meaning here, the concept of judicial entry into these areas is not permitted. But the principles therein laid down are nevertheless fundamental in the governance of the country, and it shall be the duty of the state to apply these principles in making the laws. 2 points in this article number 37. Number 1 is that shall not be enforceable by the court, meaning the court cannot give directions to the government to look into and do something under this DPSP. But the principles are expected to be fundamental in the governance of the country. In order to govern the nation, the state must pass the legislations. And whenever you are making these legislations, it is always better to keep these principles in the mind. That is what is article number 37 says. Article 36 talks about the definition of the word state. Article number 37 is talking about the non-enforceable nature of the DPSP by the court. But at the same time, these principles are fundamentals in the governance of the country. Am I clear? Next, article 38. That article 38 is considered to be the most important article in the DPSP, because we have spoken some words during the discussion of the preamble. During that time, I was telling you, we have a concept of justice. There we said social, economic, and political justice. So the words have been given in the same sequence: social, economic, and political. In the same manner, the same words have been repeated here under article number 38, meaning it is the responsibility of the state to ensure that the justice must prevail. And what is this justice? Social justice, economic justice, and political justice must be prevailing in the country. Now let me say something about article number 38. Article 38 says that the state shall strive to promote the welfare of the people by securing and protecting as effectively as it may a social order in which justice, social, economic, and political shall inform all the institutions of the national life. Meaning, whenever, wherever the concept of welfare of the people comes into the picture, it is the responsibility of the state to secure and protect as effectively as possible with respect to the justice. That is the idea that is given in the constitution. And at the same time, the same article is also mentioning that the state shall in particular strive to minimize the inequalities in income and endeavor to eliminate inequalities in state facilities and opportunities, not only amongst individuals but also amongst groups of people residing in different areas are engaged in different vocations. Meaning, I was talking to you something called equality of status and of opportunity. So that is also mentioned here under article number 38, clause 2. That's the reason, as far as possible, minimize the inequalities of income. Every person or every group will be getting the equal incomes, and the state should also endeavor to eliminate inequalities of status, facilities, and opportunities. What do you mean by this? So when it comes to the status, any status here, maybe social status or economic status, create the opportunities for the people so that you will be eliminating the inequalities, minimize inequalities, and also give a strong attempt to eliminate the inequalities. That is mentioned under article number 38. Kindly see here, just now I told you this article 38 is the most important article. In fact, this is considered to be cornerstone. This article 38 is considered to be cornerstone of the DPSP, because this article is talking about the concept of justice. It is talking about social, economic, and political justice. That's the reason why article 38 is very, very important for me. Right? Next, I'm going further. I'm talking to you about article number 39. Under article number 39, certain principles of policy to be followed by the state. Kindly remember the sequence here. I told you already. Article number 36 defines the word state. Article number 37 talks about the non-enforceability by the courts, meaning the non-justiciability of DPSP. But the state should always strive for implementing the DPSP, the principles in making the legislations. And Article 38 talks about the justice, social, economic, and political justice. Okay, next one. So I am trying to talk to you regarding article number 39. So the state shall in particular direct its policy towards securing. So the state should always strive to secure. Kindly remember, the most important word for me is the word state. You have to remember every time, wherever the word state is coming into the picture, you have to get back this particular definition. That's the reason, maybe at the central level, state level, or at the local level, if any policy is being made, if any law is being made, it is the responsibility of the government of the day to remember, to recollect the ideas and the principles that are enshrined in the constitution in the form of the directive principles. Though they are not enforceable, government is not expected to forget the principles, because the highest responsibility of the government is the welfare of the people. That is the point. And see here, maybe this Indian polity, or maybe in paper number 2 of the Indian Constitution, plus paper number 2 of the General Studies, and paper number 4, of general studies. These are the papers very important where you require the concepts of the Indian Constitution. Their majority of the times will be talking about the word state. Hence, this is not just useful only at this level. So this is also helpful in the main examination for two papers. One is paper number 2, one is the paper number 4. Apart from this, if you are opting for public administration optional, in that one, we have again paper 1 and paper 2. Most of the areas are covered in the Indian Constitution. Even paper 1 and paper 2. Paper 2 almost covered, and paper 1 also some of the areas are there. That is the reason more than 60% can be covered by reading this one, the Constitution of India. That is the reason pay a great attention so that it will be easy for us when we start reading those papers. Okay, now, so the state shall in particular direct its policy towards securing that the citizens, meaning all the people, men and women equally, have the right to an adequate means of livelihood. Every citizen should be provided equal right to an adequate means of livelihood. See here, instead of saying this, the citizens, they made it very, very clear, men and women equally. Otherwise, in countries like India, women were given the low status since the beginning. But the moment the constitution comes into the force, there is no inequality based on the sex. Men and women should be treated equally. And in this case, we are talking about the equal right to an adequate means of livelihood. In the same article, I am talking about article number 39. 39, clause B, the ownership and the control of the material resources of the community are so distributed as best to subserve the common goods. What is the meaning of this? There are so many resources that are available, material resources we are talking about. And these resources belong to the community, they belong to the India, they belong to the people. And they should be distributed in such a way so that they will be working towards the common goods, not towards the good of any individual, but it is the common goods, meaning for the development of the society. Next, Article 39, Clause C, it is saying that the operation of the economic system does not result in the concentration of wealth and means of production to the common detriment. At the same time, it is the responsibility of the state to also take care that there should not be the concentration of wealth in few hands. It should be distributed among the people, and the opportunities and the benefits must be enjoyed by all the citizens in the country, and there should not be a concentration in one place. At the same time, the same article is saying that there is equal pay for equal work for both men and women. Very, 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 very important. Since the beginning, there is a concept that is present. Men are paid more and women are paid less. But the moment the constitution comes into the force, it is the responsibility of the state to take care that there should be an equal pay for equal work for both men and women. This is the point. Next one, 39C, sorry, 39E. The state should also take care that the health and strength of workers, men and women, and the tender age of children are not abused, and that the citizens are not enforced by economic necessity to enter avocations unsuited to their age or strength. What is the meaning of this? The state should not abuse the citizens. They should take care of the health and strength of the workers, maybe men and women, and the tender age of the children is not abused. And the citizens should not be forced by economic necessity to enter into vocations, to enter into those jobs or employments which are unsuited for their age or strength. Very, 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 very important. Already we have seen article number 24 of the Indian Constitution. There, the children should be protected. Prohibition of the child labor we have seen. But here also we are talking about the age, tender age of the children is taken into picture. The vocation should not be in such a way that if it is unsuited to their age and strength, then they should not be permitted to enter into that area. And that the children are given opportunities and facilities to develop in a healthy manner and in conditions of freedom and dignity, and that childhood and youth are protected against exploitation and against moral and material abandonment. This is another important point. Look at the words, I'm just repeating. Children are given opportunities and facilities to develop in a healthy manner and in conditions of freedom and dignity. That is very, very important. This is what is mentioned in the Constitution. And when it comes to this freedom and dignity, most of the times we don't see in the society, unfortunately. That is the reason why in some of the schools, the children are beaten by the teachers. Even at home also they are being abused, which is a very, very unfortunate thing. And for that reason, the government has come out with a law that is the right to education. So a child has to be given protection, and the child has to be nurtured in such a way so that he'll be learning the things in a completely free environment, and the dignity of a child should also be protected against any exploitation. That is the point. And this is mentioned under article number 39F. Another article which was added later, that is article 39A. It says that equal justice and free legal aid. The state shall secure that the operation of the legal system promotes justice on a basis of equal opportunity and shall in particular provide free legal aid by suitable legislation or schemes or in any other way to ensure that opportunities for securing justice are not denied to any citizens by reason of economic or other disabilities. See, this is one important thing. So we have a legal system, we have the judicial system, and in the judicial system, we would have seen it is always expensive for common people. A common man cannot bear so many expenses with respect to the judiciary. But the Constitution is granting the free legal aid. Because of their economic system, because of their existing financial disabilities, they should not be denied of the justice. That is what the Constitution says. That is under article number 39A. That's the reason sometimes you will come across with a free legal aid service. So that is a mechanism not to deny any citizen of the legal system. That is a legal proceedings. Next one, Article 40. This Article 40 talks about the organization of village panchayats. The state shall take steps to organize village panchayats and endow them with such powers and authority as may be necessary to enable them to function as units of self-governments. This point we have already discussed. Today's concept is different, but I am talking about article number 40 of the original constitution, and it was talking about the organizing the village panchayats, not just organizing, and also give them such powers and authority as may be necessary to enable them to function as the units of self-government. But unfortunately, this article 40 was implemented only in the few areas. And of course, the governments of those days, they made serious attempts to implement article number 40. That's the reason whatever the Panchayat Raj we are talking about today, that is not the latest one. In fact, that was introduced in India for the first time in the year 1959 itself. But there were so many gaps in the Panchayat Raj system of that day. That was the reason, on the recommendations of various committees, finally the Panchayati Raj was made a constitutional body. And today, this is the responsibility and the compulsory responsibility of the state governments and also the central government, that they should see the Panchayati Raj structure is existing in every state. That's the reason today in every state you have the Panchayati Raj system, and that compulsion has been enforced after the 73rd Amendment. But in the beginning, there was, though the government made an attempt to organize the village panchayats, they were not so successful during that time because every entity requires the money. In the absence of the money, the development is not possible. That is the reason why it is not just creating a structure, that structure should be allowed to function, and that functions will happen only by continuous flow of the money. In the absence of that one, it will be a failure. That was one reason, that was one of the reasons why our village panchayat system was not a success before the 73rd Amendment. And these developments I'll tell you when I talk to you about Panchayati Raj. Next, I am talking to you regarding article number 41. This article says that the state shall, within the limits of its economic capacity and development, make effective provision for securing the right to work, to education, and to public assistance in cases of unemployment, old age, sickness, and disablement, and in other cases of undeserved want. Look at this. This article is talking about the state should come forward and provide the assistance to the people, so that right to work should be provided, assistance should be provided in the cases of unemployment, and in the case of old age, and for the sick people, and for the people who are disabled, the government should provide all the opportunities for them, because the old age people, sick people, and the people with the disability, they may not be working, they cannot work rather. During that time, it is the responsibility of the state to come forward and to provide the assistance. That is the reason here, maybe at the central level or at the state level, the governments will announce the old age pension schemes. Of course, it may not be given for every person. These will be given for the completely the people who are considered to be destitute. If there is no other income for them, the governments are providing some financial support. That all depends on how much money will be given by central government and how much money is given by the state government. It varies from government to government, it varies from state to state. Okay, next one. Kindly see here, these are all present in the constitution, but whether the government implements them or not, that is left to the government. Next one, 42. The state shall make provisions for securing just and humane conditions of work, and also for maternity relief. Meaning is simple, it is not just providing the work, it is also a responsibility of the state to see that there should be just and humane conditions at the work, and at the same time maternity relief should also be given to the people here. That's the reason why women in almost all the sectors, rather in every sector, they are provided with the relief. That's the reason before the delivery of the baby and after the delivery of the baby, they will be given paid holidays. So this is the thing the governments are doing. It's a fantastic thing. Now, so I'm talking to you about article number 43. It says that the state shall endeavor to secure by suitable legislation or economic organization or in any other way to all workers. I am talking something about the workers, maybe agricultural, maybe industrial, or otherwise. Work a living wage. Very, very, very important. Living wage is that wage, the money that is provided by the organizations, where the money is sufficient for them for living purposes. So they should be for every family or every individual, the minimum requirements will be there. And if the money that the person is getting after putting in so much of work, if it is not sufficient for his living, then what is the purpose of this? That is the reason why the government should come out with the concept of the living wage and conditions of work ensuring a decent standard of life and full enjoyment of leisure and social and cultural opportunities. And in particular, the state shall endeavor to promote cottage industries on an individual or cooperative basis in rural areas. You might have heard this word, cottage industries. Sometimes, of course, when I talk to you regarding economy, I will have a detailed discussion. So, cottage industries are the small industries. We have large scale industries, medium scale industries, small scale industries, cottage industries, and tiny industries. So, depending on the investment that is made in each industry, so we use this word. But the constitution has used the concept of cottage industries must be promoted, and they will be promoted for the individual development or on the cooperative basis in the rural areas. Next one, Article 43A, which was added later, it talks about the participation of the workers in management of industries. What do you mean by this? The state shall take steps by suitable legislation or in any other way to secure the participation of the workers in the management of undertakings. What is the meaning of this? Participation of the workers in the management means the workers should also be permitted to take part in the decision making. Otherwise, what will happen? In the traditional system, the workers are meant for working only, and every decision was taken by the management. And with the commencement of the constitution, the government should take care that the workers will be taking part in the management, meaning taking part in the decision making. Next one is the Article 44. I was telling you about Article 44. It talks about the uniform civil code for the citizens. And this is one article which was never touched by any government in India. Once it is touched, whatever some laws are present with respect to the religions, they will be removed, and there will be a common law for all the citizens. I was telling you in the previous class saying that with respect to marriage, with respect to divorce, and also with respect to the property issues, different religions have different laws, different codes rather. And once this Article 44 comes to the picture, the concept of different laws, even with respect to few subjects, will be removed. And this is the mechanism to promote equality before law. Next one, Article number 45. Kindly remember, wherever you come across with the concept of uniform civil code, please read that article. So now and then, even today also, excuse me, just a moment. Yeah. Is it clear? Hopefully you're able to listen me now. I forgot to give the cable, the connection here, power connection. Okay. So now I'm opening the discussion again, once again. So now I'm talking about article number 44. That's our now article 45. So under this article 45, I told you. So this article talks about the free and compulsory education for all the children between the age of 6 and 14. And I told you the subject matter of this article 45 shifted, has been shifted to article number 21A. And now article number 45 talks about the state shall endeavor to provide early childhood care and education for all the children until they complete the age of 6 years. So here we are talking about the childhood care and education for the children of below the age of 6 years. Previously between 6 years and 14 years. Now it is talking about the people who are below the age of the 6 years. Now, so this is what is article 45. When it comes to article 46, it says that the state shall promote with special care the educational and economic interest of the weaker sections of the people, and in particular of the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes, and shall protect them from social injustice and all forms of exploitation. This is another important article with respect to the whole directive principles. It is the state is promoting this. The state is expected to promote with special care regarding educational, economic interest of the weaker sections of the people, and in particular SCs and STs, and shall protect them from social injustice and all forms of exploitation. That's the reason why the state will come out with various laws, various legislations for protecting these sections of the societies. Next one, article number 47 says that it is the duty of the state to raise the level of nutrition and the standard of living and to improve the public health. It is not just the responsibility of the state to provide only the education and health and all these things. The state should also try to protect the health of the people by increasing the levels of the nutrition. Look at this. Article 47 says that the state shall regard the raising of the level of nutrition and the standard of living of its people and the improvement of public health as among its primary duties. You are doing so many things, the state, but this living standard and the level of nutrition, that should be seen as the primary duties. And in particular, the state shall endeavor to bring about prohibition of the consumption except for medicinal purposes of intoxicating drinks and drugs which are injurious to health. That's the reason, except for the medicinal purposes, the state is expected to prohibit the intoxicating drinks and drugs which are injurious to health. But unfortunately, what is happening, of course, see for example, the concept of liquor here. And it is the responsibility of the state to see that the liquor is not available. I told you in the previous class when I was talking about how this liquor is spoiling the lives of the people. But today the liquor has become one of the important revenues for all the governments. That's the reason why majority of the states in the country, they are going for this. Next one. Article number 48 says that organization of agriculture and animal husbandry. What do you mean by this again? The state shall endeavor to organize agriculture and animal husbandry on modern and scientific lines, and shall in particular take steps for preserving and improving the breeds and prohibiting the slaughter of cows and and other milch and drought cattle. Clear, always we talk about in India this animal husbandry, agriculture and animal husbandry. So that has been mentioned in the article number 48. See here, very recently, during our current affairs class, I was talking to you. Haryana government, the newly formed BJP government in Haryana, they have decided to pass a legislation where they are prohibiting the cow slaughters. In some of the regions, the cow is seen as a god. So obviously, it becomes the responsibility of the government to see that cow slaughtering should not take place. Accordingly, they can make the legislations. And kindly remember, every state does not have that legislation. And Haryana government is planning for that, so that they will be protecting these breeds. That is the reason why it is planning for going for prohibiting the slaughter of the cows and its cows. Next one. And we have added another article called Article 48A, and this 48A has been added through the 42nd Amendment. 42nd Amendment through the in the year 1976. We know this 42nd Amendment. And this 48A says that the state shall endeavor to protect and improve the environment and to safeguard the forest and wildlife of the country. That's the reason, especially from the 1976 onwards, the government talks more about the environment. It talks more about the safeguard of the forest and also the wildlife of the country. Otherwise, wildlife in the sense I'm talking about the animals. So these are the animals which are considered to be the endangered species. Sometimes you will come across with these words. And on the name of the food or fun, the animals are being killed. And if it is allowed for a longer period of time, they will be completely endangered and they will be completely getting vanished from the earth. So it is the responsibility of the government of the day to see that they will be safeguarding the forest and also the wildlife. At the same time, it should also try to protect and improve the environment. Next, Article 49 says that it talks about the protection of the monuments and places and other objects of national importance. I'll just read it out for you. It shall be the obligation of the state to protect every monument or place or object of artistic or historic interest to be the national importance from spoliation, disfigurement, destruction, removal, disposal, or export, as the case may be. Meaning is simple, there are so many national monuments, and declare them as the national monuments and protect them from any form of spoiling or disfigure, destruction, removal. It is the responsibility of the state. Next, Article 50 talks about the state shall take steps to separate judiciary from the executive in the public services of the state. I told you in the previous class also, this was one of the first things that was implemented in the beginning itself. There is the judiciary has been separated from the executive, and the both were combined when the British was present here. I told you the example of the collector also, but now it is no more there. There is a separation of the judiciary from the executive. And the last article in this one is the Article 51. This Article 51, it's here, the state shall endeavor to promote international peace and security. What is the meaning of this? It is not just that you are talking something about the national peace. It is a responsibility of the state to also work for the international peace and security, and also to maintain just and honorable relations between the nations. Meaning the state should also try to maintain good relations with the nations. Number one, it should try to promote the international peace and security. Number two, maintain good relations with the other nations. foster respect for international law and treaty obligations in the dealings of organized peoples with one another. Sometimes you will also come across with the international laws. These international laws will be decided by the international organizations. If India is a member in that one, if that organization takes a decision, the state should also try to give an attempt for respecting that law and ensuring that that law will be implemented even in India also. Next, encourage settlement of international disputes by arbitration. So there will be definitely international disputes will be there. International disputes means these are the disputes between the various countries. During that time, it is the responsibility of the state to encourage the settlements. Am I clear? Now, kindly remember this one. So I am talking to you regarding article number 51 here. That is the last article under the directive principles of the state policy. Kindly remember, we have seen two important parts of the Indian Constitution. One is a part 3 and now it is a part 4. Kindly remember, this is not the end of the story. In our discussions in the future classes also, very frequently I'll be talking about the fundamental rights and the directive principles of state policy. And after you understand this over a period of time thoroughly and completely, I told you this is one area DPSP where you need to pay a very good attention. So keep on reading this DPSP as many times as possible. And over a period of time, I'll take a separate class, and that class is exclusively related to the case laws. And through that, we'll come to know how exactly there is a contradiction between the fundamental rights and the directive principles of state policy. I told you in the previous classes, and I have also shown you some of the important cases like Keshwananda Bharati, like Minerva Mills, right? Some cases are LIC of India. This I told you some points, but there is much to be discussed on this one. What exactly happened? Why the Supreme Court has interfered, and how the government of the day has responded? Then again, what happened? And which is more important, in fact, is it fundamental rights or the directive principles? What Supreme Court said and what the government of the day is saying this. Kindly remember, as of today, fundamental rights will prevail over the directive principles of the state policy. On the name of implementing the DPSP, the government cannot talk something against the fundamental rights. That's the reason this contradiction is always there. Supreme Court is taking the side of the fundamental rights and the state is taking the side of the DPSP. Okay, so this will have a separate discussion in separate class. That is the reason why the fundamental rights and DPSP, we have seen some points. So as we go deep into the subject, so we'll come across with these contradictions more, and then we'll have again elaborate discussion. So, and I'll stop the class at this stage, and we'll be meeting tomorrow at the same time, and we'll discuss the next topic, that is the fundamental duties. Thank you so much for being with me this morning. See you tomorrow. I wish you all a very, very good luck and have a very, very nice day.